Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge All-Stars Episode 3. That's right, I'm your host, Chris, and with me again is my fellow co-host, Kahuna. Kahuna, how you doing?
I'm doing well, sir. Doing very good, actually. You know, easy week for work for me, unlike you, and I get to
Yeah,
cap it off talking. I get to cap it off talking about a show that I enjoy. So yeah, it's good.
great. You sound like you're a bit nasally, like you're coming down with something, so we're glad to have you here.
I have been a bit sick, but I'm pulling it together for the people in the chat and for you.
Yeah, listen, we really appreciate you. The chat is already bringing the energy, so you know that you're going to be able to feed off that. You know, when we're talking about the show, we've got Chris here saying, "Hey, squad, happy to talk about another great episode." We've got lovable Nikki saying, "Let's go." Kiwi is back like always. We've got Dolores. Hello, Dolores, saying hello, hello, greetings and salutations to the wonderful crew and amazing chatters. We've got Lena back as well. Hello, Lena. Happy Friday to you. Thank you for remembering it is our Saturday over here, Saturday morning for us in Australia. Willie is saying, "Hey, guys, I wish I watched episode 3, but I heard it had good moments." Yeah, it definitely had. I mean, we're going to be talking about all of that here. I also wish you had watched episode 3 because, you know, you could tell us when we're getting it wrong if you watch that. At the moment, you're just going to believe everything Kahuna and I are saying here because you don't know any better. So for today, Kahuna, we are the expert of the challenge.
It's not a good position to be in where you just automatically believe what we say. You always have to take it with a grain of salt.
100%. I feel like a few people in the chat will not let us get away with anything. They'll keep us in check. They'll keep us in check. Elisa saying, "What's up, everybody?" We've got AR back as well. Who else do we have here? Darren, welcome back to the live as well. We've got Thana. Welcome back to the live. They're always saying, "I like Chris Hick, but I can't wait to see Kuna's tail." Yeah, like Kuna, you're gonna have to like Kuna had it.
I'll do the main one day, like the
yeah.
Yeah, well, I did it on one episode, right, of Survivor Australia. If you want to search,
you did.
Search through the archive. There's one episode of me with my hair flowing.
Yeah, I reckon you should do the Steve. I reckon you should do the Steve. Yeah,
you know what? In regards to Steve, I got the long hair, half Asian, and I swear to God, this is true. At one point when I was a teenager, one of my mum's friends, I don't know if this is creepy now that I think about it as an adult, but one of my mum's friends kept telling my mum that I should be a hand model.
Yeah. Listen,
over the years, they have been scarred, they have been ruined, they have been not good. But back in the day, someone legitimately told me to be a hand model, and I couldn't. When Steve did that, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? It was such a joke to me. And Steve did it. I missed out, Chris. I had an opportunity, and I let it out of beautiful hands.
I'm sorry, I got distracted while you were doing your riff there. It's Thana's birthday, and she's spending it with us. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Thana. Happy birthday to you. Special. Now we're going to have to do it for everybody when it's their birthday. I feel like this is going to become a thing, but I hope you're having a great day, Thana. We really appreciate you being here with us on your birthday. Let's get into episode 3 of the challenge. We get back, Tina and Rachel back in the house with Veronica. It's going to continue to be a big storyline, and those three are working very closely, and Rachel's getting a really big edit. Like, I think we all expected her coming back. You know, the producers were going to make the most of it. She's kind of, both her and Tina are kind of carrying the confessionals at the moment there. I think Veronica's taken a bit of a sort of back seat to the three of them when it comes to the confessional side of things. Have you been enjoying seeing these three ladies back? I mean, there are now all the ladies on the show, but they're working together. They're showing that they're going to be a tight bond. At some stage, the rest of the house will have to break that up, right?
Yeah, but I mean, when they've got this, I guess Rachel's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting, though, to protect the other two. And the other two aren't bringing as much, I don't feel, to the table. Like we saw Tina last week trying to flex her political muscles, or at least intimidation, the Godfather game, to Avery, and it completely backfired. Like immediately, she went down and got a star through pure luck. So look, they're obviously a big part of it. It does give me a couple points because I've got both Rachel and Veronica on my team. Veronica taking the back seat, but it does scare me that I've got two of them linked so closely together that if one goes, there's probably another on the way out after. So my team's is looking good in that regard, looking bad in other regards, but they are having a good season, and I think I love Tina from the last couple of seasons of All Stars to then bring back Rachel and see her just slot straight back in and flow with the game and look incredible. It's good to see after all this time, you know?
Yeah, listen, I completely forgot that we had a draft going. I'm going to be real, and forgot which team who fell into. But you're right. You've got Rachel, you've got Veronica, both there in your team, which could work out really well. And Rachel is working with Cara Maria in a big way this episode as well. So it feels like if people are starting to go on that side, you could have a few people back to back here that you could lose very early on. For those people who are unaware of what the draft looks like, this is the draft, the main draft that we did. We did two drafts, but this is the one that Kahuna has taken part in. Obviously, Tony time.
Tony.
Big loss. Big loss there for you, Kahuna. What was the thoughts seeing all of this sort of play out? But actually, before I go into that, I just wanted to address something here. Chris said, oh my God, why are you actually a good singer? I actually did sing back at school. Like, I actually did sing. So, but I haven't.
I knew they weren't talking to me. I knew they weren't talking to
me. Joanne saying Kahuna missed out on the hand jobs.
I know. There's so many hand jobs I could have got.
Yeah. So yeah, Tony, we lose Tony here, Kahuna. A bit of a shock, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a shock when it's like personal home stuff. You can't really take that in consideration. I think he was looking, excited to be there. He looked hyped. Did he win one of the first two? I think he won one of the first two challenges or something.
He was competitive. Like, I feel like he's competitive, and also he was just fun in the confessionals. And it was a different mature side of Tony we saw this time around as well. Taken too soon in this game.
Yeah, and he said he got the call from his brother and had to go home. This was over a year ago now, so I think everything's turned out all right. But I did read on a group on Facebook, someone said that they think it was right around the time he had a lot of custody issues and stuff. So it might have been a parental battle, which is again a sign of actually kind of interesting as a sign of where the show is at and what All Stars caters to. That these are very real people with real lives. They're not the 20-something-year-olds anymore. They've got stuff going on at home that sometimes brings them back. Cam is putting up with pumping like during the show, and they show it as part of it, which is just fascinating. Again, it's a show with real adults, like middle-aged people.
I was just like thinking about the logistics. Like, how are they getting the milk back to the States? Like, is the son in South Africa, but just not with them? Like, maybe part of their deal was we come over, play this game, but you have to bring our son over as well. Our nanny has to come over. They've got to I feel like there's no way you're pumping milk and you're getting it on the plane. Do you know how long it takes to fly to America from South Africa? Like, that's 20 hours at least to like a main airport hub. Then they have to get it. I guess Texas, they live in Austin, so they would go to Atlanta, and from Atlanta they would go over to Austin, but still be over 20 hours just to get the milk there. So logistically, my mind was just thinking, how's this working? Like, how do we get the milk back to their son? Like,
as a father of three, I did have a thought when I first heard. This is what I assumed, and I'm really worried now because if this is really dumb and wrong, and I'm a dad, everyone's gonna be like, Kahuna didn't do anything as a parent, obviously.
Yeah, it's all his wife. Kahuna's like the extra child in this household, No, the wife is going to keep a track on.
I think he's on formula, and she's pumping in order to keep up supply while she's away, so that she can come back and not lose supply by not, and obviously it builds up a lot of pressure at the start anyway. You need to actually express so it doesn't be painful. But beyond that, they're probably just freezing it. You can freeze it. And he's on formula until she gets back with a full supply, and she can still keep going. Like, because it stops if you don't actually breastfeed.
Yeah. Well, you can see I'm obviously not a dad. I've got no idea about these things. Chris saying, "LL, I don't think Kingston is drinking the milk she's pumping. Sometimes women just need to pump extra milk." Didn't
Yeah.
know. Leroy's sister is watching over Kingston, and what a beautiful baby Kingston is, right? Like every time they showed the photo, it's just like, oh man, like I don't know how they even managed to go away. Like it would have been so tough for them to do. But we're very grateful to have both Leroy and Cam back on the show. Obviously, a few comments here made earlier as well. We've got Reality Realness in their live saying, I am down to 3 players. It's almost like she knew that she was going to lose some players, because obviously we have Ayana and Cyrus in that team as well that is no more. So both Ayana and Cyrus, obviously by the end of this episode, they're going to be out. So it's a tough.
Oof.
It is a tough start. Like I don't know what to say, Chantel. Like I don't even have words of encouragement at this stage.
Man,
Like give her words of encouragement, Kuna. Like what are we like? We've got Laurel still there.
Laurel is going to get a lot of confessionals.
Yeah,
Got a lot of drama points coming up. I can see, like the fact that she even started talking to Nicole again this episode just gave me the icks, and I think it's going to lead to a lot of screen time. I'm going to start feeling a little bit Jordan Tory that season, where it's just like
it's a nervous
their
laugh.
relationship played out. Yeah, it is a nervous laugh, but Laurel's going far. Outside of that, I don't know. You might be in trouble.
Yeah. All I say is, remember, this is not Chantel's team alone. This is the people's team.
It's the
like,
people's
there's
team.
still chance here. It's the people's team. So, like if Chantel, you go down with the ship if this happens. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy to see how things have shaken up so early on here. But Kefla's looking good. Kefla's looking like he's in it to win it at the moment. Like I wouldn't count him out. Like Derek's playing Kuna. He's there.
Yeah.
Have you seen him? I haven't seen him really on the screen, like ever.
Yeah. Ace as well. Ace is just nothing on the show.
Yeah.
Only because I'm acutely aware of him. You know, when you get a red car, you see a lot of red cars. So I'm like, there is literally no Ace. What happened to this man?
I feel like Ace is in a good spot though, because normally if he goes home in those.
I probably wouldn't even notice if I wasn't back.
Sorry, we just lost you for a second.
Okay, he's dodged that.
Yeah, he's dodged the early stages. So I think if he goes past that, there's a chance he'll go a bit deeper as well. Reality says, I love Kefla, lovable Nikki, but I fear he may go back into an elimination, which is not going to be ideal. But he could become, like, he could have that fear factor now to him. Like, no one's going to want to take him on in something physical, I feel like, after this last episode. But we're all over the place. We're talking about a lot of different things. I want to... Yeah.
You know how they use them as a weapon?
I do want to backtrack, Kun. I want to go back to the Tony bit, right? So obviously Tony goes home. He's out of the game. It's sad to see. We know Tony, Nicole, and Jay, they had something going on going into the game, because Nicole speaks about that. She's like, I had Jay and Tony. They were going to be my boys in the game. They were going to be like home away from home type of thing. And because of this, talking about Laurel, being a beast, she definitely is a beast, but is her mind fully in the game right now? I don't know. Like, she goes out to go and talk to Nicole while Nicole's vulnerable from a human standpoint. Probably a good thing, but we know how toxic Nicole is. Like, this feels like it's such a big mistake by Laurel to go there, because, again, she's, I think, letting Nicole back in some ways here. So I'm really worried for her. And I've said this, like, I don't know if this is her season, because she's so focused on that relationship opposed to the game and winning the game.
Yeah, she's certainly not focused on the game. It's clear PTSD. Like, she's so shaken from this trauma relationship she had with this woman, and to be in that situation with it, it's bringing everything up, including the misplaced feelings of, wanting to protect and help someone that she obviously cared very deeply about for a long time. That's hard to see on camera, like such a strong woman clearly be affected by a person so badly. But look, if anyone is kind of competitive, sociopathic, psychopathic enough about winning, Laurel, I think, almost thrives on that energy. She'll use the adrenaline to direct it towards someone, as opposed to letting it bring her down. I feel like she's that crazy competitive type that even with all those things going, she'll like channel it somehow into aggression. even if it is against Nicole. She said, "Yeah, I want to smash her head," kind of thing. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out. So we'll see.
Yeah, Darren says he's been on the notebook watch. He hasn't seen her writing in a notebook as of yet. Definitely not focused in the game. YouTube Bearcat says you can have feelings, but don't act on them. And I think that's the thing. Like Laurel, I don't know if she's got any impulse control, to be honest. I don't think that's what she's known for. So she's acting on it a little bit. Kiwi also says, yes, total mistake. Nicole is right that Laurel still had feelings for her, and that's not good. Dolores also says, I see this type of love-hate on my daytime soaps. It's funny. And Kiwi Skirt says, if you're strong enough, YouTube Cat sounds like they had some pretty bad mental stuff going, and Laurel may not be as strong as we expect. And that, actually, this is quite a deep comment, Kahuna, because I think sometimes we take for granted in life, and I know this is probably something that this is not an epiphany that I have. A lot of people have said this before in other podcasts that I watch and listen to outside of the reality TV realm when it comes to things like mental health. It's often the people who have the most strong exterior and that comes across as, the most standoffish and like, I've got this, that those type of people, like they always say, check in on your mates that come across as really confident, because they are a lot of the times that have the biggest struggles. It's similar to how comedians, like a lot of comedians struggle with like mental health and things like that, what a lot of people are not aware of, because they try and make other people laugh because of their own sadness. And I think it's even like this thing when you try and be extra tough out there, or you have got this strong exterior, you're kind of hiding insecurities sometimes within yourself. It's a pretty deep comment. I don't know if that's where Kiwi went with it, but that's kind of how I read it, Kuna.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly is that way. And I also think there's an element of like, we've seen her competitive drive. We've seen how she can go that way. And I think some of the people, when you have that 11 on your dial for anything, she feels very big about other stuff too. So the love is just as hardcore because she's that type that does everything 100%. You know what I mean? She fully commits to everything, including the person she's with, including the feelings of depression afterwards, including all the big emotions that come with that. Everything is always extreme because she's that extreme type person. That's the vibe that I get. And I'm not a psychologist at all, but I think when you do things big, everything is big, including the bad stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what a way to live, right? When you feel things to the level that someone like that feels it. But a lot of people are agreeing with us here, saying it. And Darren also brings up Berna as another example, says that she acts strong, but definitely has problems with her mom, which obviously there's a lot of things going on with Berna as well. And unfortunately, when you think about it, those are the people that sometimes make the best reality TV characters. And their mental trauma is, which is their expense, that they're out there and they've got these issues, like our gain by getting these personalities on reality TV, and we enjoy it. Like, it's actually pretty bad when you look at it that way, right? Because we look at these people and we're like,
the end of the
what's
podcast.
going on? We've even got a podcast talking about it.
Chris has an epiphany. He's like, "Oh my god, what are we doing?
What are we doing with our lives?" Kiwi's like, sadly true, Chris. Yeah. And yeah, I think I don't know how far deeper we should go into this, because like I said, I'm not a psychologist at all, but obviously it's sad to see this happening because we know the outcome. And if we didn't know the outcome, maybe we would have been invested. Like, we would have been like, maybe they can finally make it work out. But I don't know what happened in the season for placement, because I've somehow still dodged that. I know spoilers are all over the shop, but just stay off Twitter is basically my strategy. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I do know what's going to happen between those two, just to be clear. Like, I know that the outcome of that, and it's unfortunate. I don't know how it's going to happen in the season, but I know what happens after the season, if that makes sense. But anyways, we get Cyrus coming back. Were you out of your seat? Were you jumping up and down when the old dog came back in? Like, he got a massive reception by the rest of the All-Stars there.
Cyrus doesn't move the needle for me, unfortunately. Like, because I don't have the original affiliation with him as much. So my association is All-Stars, and he hasn't really done much for me in All-Stars. You know what I mean? Like, he talks a big game, and I know that there's that built-in apparent respect, but we didn't see it sort of play out,
Yeah. I like Cyrus for his personality. 100%.
Mm.
I love the dog barking that he does, all that kind of stuff when he comes in. Like, he's got the personality, but he's not. Like, I think one thing I appreciate about what I do appreciate about him is he's also brutally honest. Like when he loses, he's like, no excuses. I lost fair and square. I like that
Yeah.
attitude. No victim mentality about it. So I like his old school approach, but unfortunately, Cyrus at 51 is not Mark Long at 51. Like, it's not the same thing. He hasn't been staying in shape in the same way. Like, that's not been his thing. He's actually gone and he's become a grown up.
Trimmed
He's had a
down.
life outside of the challenge. Yeah, like he's had other stuff in his life go on. So, him coming back at 51, his age is showing, right? Like he's not keeping up. And going up against Kefla, at least he went up against someone else that was also an OG that was like his equal in that sense. But he also went up against him in a challenge that, at the end of the day, the weight difference was just not something he was ever going to overcome. Like in a challenge like that, there's a reason that they've got weight divisions and things like that when it comes to fighting. Like it does make a difference.
Hey, me and Corey, same thing.
It's over. Game over. I'm starting to believe in it now, Kahuna. I'm starting to. I would put a chocolate slab on you for winning that. I don't know if would go for like a full $50, but a chocolate slab, 100%. I reckon would be pretty safe as a bet for you to be able to win that one.
With the ball in the middle would make it even better for me. Like without actual physical contact, just a giant exercise ball.
Yeah. Chris here says Cyrus came in, served, went home, all in one episode. Goodbye, King. Kiwi says against Kefla, I'm not sure anyone could have won.
He was winning that one. Regardless.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone like. I mean, Leroy in shape. Leroy this season. I don't know. Like, I mean, Leroy was my number one pick, but he's not looking very very sharp at this point.
A bit scary. Cam has to do a lot of politicking to protect.
Jeez, like Cam's working overtime. She's clocking in. Like, I mean, jeez, like he's
they had that conversation where she said, "Look, I don't mind being a working mum and providing," and he was like, "Oh, okay, I'll be a stay-at-home dad." And she's doing it now. She's working her ass off to provide for this man who's not carrying his weight in the relationship in the show.
Love Maliki says, "Stop playing with me." I don't know what you said. I actually don't know which one was the
Corey.
Oh, it was the Corey one. Oh yeah. Joanne here says the Cyrus Kefla scene is the reason why All Star exists. Loved every second of it, and this is the problem because of it being so old school. I'm not fully across the history between Cyrus and Kefla, and they didn't really, for someone like myself who's a newer fan of the challenge, they didn't really explain that all that well. It's just there was some sort of respect between the two of them. They were in maybe some previous seasons together. Do you know the history there at all, Kuna?
I don't think there is too much specific like history together. Like Kefla only did one season. I think it's just respect, like old, like, you know, I'm an OG, you're an OG. We both know that we are that in the show. And I think it was also, there's probably a bit of an affinity being the very few black people that were doing it back in the day to get, you know, to be that OG. So to be a minority and you know, succeed in the show, both champions, like there's probably a bit of that to it as well.
Right. No, I get that. I can see that. Darren here says he never was that great at the challenge. Good TV, but never that great at the actual game. And obviously back in the day, I think it was Kefla after the show did a podcast this week with someone. I just saw a comment somewhere online. I don't know where. I think it was in Facebook, one of the Facebook groups. And they said that Kefla said that back in the day, it was all about relationships and then they sprinkled a little bit of game on top of it. But now it's all about game and they sprinkle a little bit of relationships on top of it. So the game is completely flipped the other way. And that is also coming through to the All-Stars game, because when you mix people that are from a different, not the OG generation, you've got people who've recently played on the main show, like Leroy, Cam, you've got Cara Maria, Laurel, you know, even Nicole I probably put in there, Tony, these people, they're all a different kind of game player compared to the older school. And it's almost unfair, like, to be honest. Like, I think All-Stars, when Mark Long envisioned it, was honestly for the OGs. It was for people who played in the first 10 seasons. And now they've just brought back, like, people who could, all of those people could play main season still now, like that we just mentioned, you know? So it's very lopsided. Like, I still don't see a way, and I'll put it out there right now. Rachel's probably the only OG that I would say has a chance to make it in the final and potentially do extremely well. The rest of the OGs, I don't see any of them winning. Like, I'm already discounting all of them. I don't think they've got it in them. I don't think they've got gas in the tank for it.
They haven't shown it so far. Adam looks pretty good.
Adam's looking decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam's done well so far, and I know he ended up. You talked about what happens after the season, but not knowing what necessarily happens in the season. Did you know he's with Avery at the moment?
I heard about that.
So that's a win. Regardless what happens on the show, he's winning
like,
there.
listen, he won. Yeah, he won. He won the thing that truly mattered at the end of the day. Like, let's be real. So yeah, that's bizarre to me. Like, what is the age gap between them? It's like 20 years or something. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know.
How old is he? He's got to be in his 40s, 15 years. 40s,
and she's only like 28 or 29, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovable Nikki did not like that comment from me at all, saying, "How dare you?" At least Kiwi agreed with me a little bit here. That is your hottest take ever. Well, everybody tell me who's going to be the OG that's going to bloody win this thing. Aaron is saying Adam was great back in the day, and he is doing great. Like, he's been in the top 5 twice.
Yeah.
Rachel can't win a final if there is dominoes. What did you think? Let's talk a little bit about the dominoes. What did you think of this for like a daily challenge?
I don't know. It was a bit.
Are you being afraid of what the chat will do if you're being honest, or like I feel like you were second guessing your thoughts here?
No, because it was, to me it was fun. Like I maybe I'm just so lizard dumb brain that I was so excited by the name.
Yeah, fair enough.
I enjoyed the name. Like I enjoyed and I really, really loved, like, just as a one-liner, the fact that Kefla was like, I can't believe the 3 brothers were in the bottom 3 in dominoes. Like, that made me giggle. So I enjoyed that. And Brandon did make it through. So he's like, hey, I'm like,
am I not one of you? Like, what are you talking about?
So I enjoyed that aspect, but I think it was a bit of a, like, visually it was hard to track as well because everyone was playing all at once, and I don't think they edited it in a way that you knew who was kind of leading at what point. So that side of it looked a bit funny, but I mean, maybe they could have done it in batches. You know how they always do. I wouldn't have done it in just pairs, like watching one team at a time do it freaking 20 times through. But all at once was a little bit weird to the edit, and it was hard to pay attention to who was winning and who was leading what. But beyond that, like, I guess it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Kefla, Cyrus, and Leroy in the bottom. We spoke about it a little bit. Leroy, again, not doing well. But I mean, I don't know if you can like judge him on this one too much. Like, it felt like, I guess there was a strategy to it, right? You reverse engineer it, like they said, get all of the, make sure that you line up all of the dots all the way through. Maybe there's a way you can like use your smarts to get past it. Obviously, Rachel and Brad also really struggled on this. Like, they were saying it's muscles or muscles in this group, no brains, while they were doing it, which was a funny one-liner there by Rachel. You would have thought they'd be a pretty strong team if it was anything else. If it was endurance, they had to go run, they had to do something physical, they would have been strong. But this didn't really work out in their favor. And then ultimately, we see Avery and Adam get the first place here. And we also had Chris say that Avery's actually 33. So that does change. I mean, if you're 33, you're a grown-ass woman. You can make your own decisions who you want to be with. Like, I don't think we should be judging Avery if she's 33, if she likes Adam, based on his personality.
No, I wasn't judging anyway. Like, but
I was a little bit. I was low-key.
I was like,
low-key
good on Adam.
I think it's because I'm salty. I'm like, bloody Adam. Took one off the shelf.
Can I just say, I don't know if it's as common a reference, but for me, when I heard the title of this game, it was an instant movie reference that I grew up. Whenever we played dominoes, we would ironically, and sometimes not ironically, scream that, like, domino, and hit the table and stuff, because it's from Boys in the Hood. I don't know if it's just normal that everyone said it, but for me, it was Boys in the Hood. Ice Cube at the barbecue playing dominoes, screams dumb and slams them down on the table. So we would always just do that, referencing Boys in the Hood as one of our favorite movies growing up. But yeah, it was great. I love seeing it.
I haven't seen it at all.
You haven't seen Boys in the Hood?
No, I haven't. I've got it. When did it come out?
Like 91.
mate. Like I was like 2 years old or something. Don't judge me too hard.
I'm
Elise
not,
here
that's
says
fine.
Elise says the three brothers are on the bottom playing dominoes in Africa. Africa was the
Yeah.
key part there
Yeah.
that he also said, which made it even sound worse. Let's have a look what people are saying here. YouTube gets it. All three daily challenges have been pretty good. It has been fun. I think this last one to me, again, like the only thing that I have against the season, and if we look at what they're doing, you can clearly tell that they're going lower in the budget aspect. Like, it's like, how can we do things on the cheap? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, that's the only thing I'm noticing compared to like the scale of what we've seen in some of the other seasons, the USA seasons, or like the main show season. But in saying that, you also have to equal the playing field somehow between the OG All Stars and these younger people. Like, so
Yeah,
you've
that's
got to
true.
bring in things that are a little bit more backyard.
Look,
if that makes
last
sense.
week they had the spinny van. They did get the van up in
Right.
the sky with a crane. Remember, they had the crane
That's
budget that they need to use. They used it up
they've
last
got
week.
they've got the sponsorship with the crane company. Have to use them at least once a season.
So that was taken care of. Now they do dominoes. But I think you're right. Like, there has to be an equaling, a balancing of the game between some of these super competitive athletes and then, mum and dads.
Yeah. Yeah, so I totally agree with you. Kiva says here, yes, Chris, she's a grown woman. Leave her alone. Lena says, yes, that is common saying here. YouTube can ask if I was even born when the movie came out. Yes, I was born. It's very young, but so I don't remember it. If it's a good movie, I'll go back and watch it. Like, I'm not overly inspired by a lot of the new movies that come out these days. Like, it's, since I've been in Australia, Kahuna, I've lived here for like 7-8 months now. I've seen one movie. It was Dune. That's it. I've not gone and watched any other movies in the theater. And this, you're talking to someone
Dune
who used
2?
to go.
Did you watch Dune 2?
So Dune 2. That's what I went to go watch. Yeah.
Did you get the popcorn bucket?
No, I didn't. Was there like something special about the popcorn bucket?
Just Google it on a separate screen.
Okay. Yeah, I won't be Googling it on the live, just in case.
No. Obviously, it's a popcorn bucket.
Yeah. Was it specific to Australia?
No, I don't think we got it here, actually. I think it was an American thing.
I do need to see this now. I don't know if anybody else in the live know. Oh, well, okay. Okay. I feel like I need to share this. Don't get into the popcorn bucket discourse. I feel like I should share it just real quick here. I think we'll be all right. But that is the Dune 2 popcorn bucket, everybody. So is this an American thing? Must have been an American thing, right?
Yeah.
Not over here. Next thing you know, we'll be talking about Dune 2.
Yeah, we don't get
for
any of
rest
the cool stuff over here.
Chris is saying I'm leaving. I feel like everybody knew about this before I even brought this on. What's going on? Okay, let's move on. Let's segue. I don't even know how to segue from that popcorn bucket. But obviously we've got Adam, Avery, they win. They're safe. Adam obviously gets to keep his star. Avery now has the ability. She can go down and get a star if she wants. But we know how that's going to play out. Avery doesn't end up stepping down to get that star. Obviously, she could have gone down and taken on, in this moment, who's the people who voted? It was Ayana and Rachel. She could have replaced one of them out there. Did she miss an opportunity, or was this a good move by her?
Oh, no, you don't. Like, the two of the biggest women in the house, Rachel, we just said, absolutely very strong. Like, who are you replacing to then take on when you're the size of Avery in a challenge like that? Like, I think the opportunity is good for the winner in certain circumstances, but when you look down there and it's basically a hall brawl that is going to be weight-based, Avery made the absolute right decision. And so did Adam, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I totally...
Cyrus, he could probably take, I think, but it's risky. It's not like a slam dunk, so especially in a hall brawl.
And he's got a star. So what's the point? What's the point for Adam to go down there? I think Avery could still get a star back, but it's... we spoke about it last episode with Drew a little bit when he was on. I still think the whole star thing's a gimmick. Like, I would love to be wrong about this. I would love for TJ to actually double down on the threat of people not being able to run the final without the star. But I just think that they will allow for everybody to get a star until the end of the game. So what's the point in jumping in right now? Just wait, stay out of elimination as long as you can, and then in that last round, jump in, go take the last star, go play the final, right? I don't think there is any consequences if you don't go for the star early in the game. So to me,
Oh yeah.
absolutely the right decision by Avery not to jump in right now. Like, why? She doesn't need it. She doesn't need the star right now. She needs it at the end of the game, right? So I don't see any problems with it. Obviously, a lot happens in the house here, and prior to the elimination taking place, we see Rachel talking to Cara Maria. Once again, I feel like this episode, Cara Maria, Cam, they kind of carried, and Rachel to a degree, but especially Cara Maria and Cam, like they just I kind of what you've missed in the last couple of seasons, not having them from a confessional standpoint, because they're really narrating the show extremely well at the moment, to the point where like, who's the most edited guy right now? Like, which guy is actually doing any of the? I don't think there's anyone in the confessionals from a guy's perspective that is carrying right now. Tony's gone. He was probably it.
And probably because of his involvement with the Ayana, the vote last week, Leroy, I think, has gotten a few. Like, Leroy's always going to get camera time, but
that's true.
Yeah, probably not to the extent of the others.
Yeah. The women's just, they just dominate. They absolutely dominate the confessionals this season. But interesting conversation between Rachel and Cara Maria. They never played together, but there is like a mutual respect there that we've seen evolve over the last couple of episodes, where she said to Cara Maria, hey, can you have my back? You've got Paul in the house, all of those kind of things. Were you shocked to see Cara Maria actually follow through? Because obviously she's got that tight bond with Cam. We know this. They've worked together before in previous seasons. And one of the tightest alliance. Like, I mean, Cam at one point was a part of that alliance that got called the Cara Maria cult. Like, how shocking was it to see this? And do you think there's going to be consequences? Because Cam's not someone that forgives and forgets.
I think it's the star twist that is forcing that, or not forcing it, but is beneficial for Cara Maria to protect Rachel and Rachel, because they really are looking at each other, with probably Laurel as the strongest women in the house. And they know that with this star situation, Rachel, like, if I don't protect Rachel, like, then she'll come and take mine. Like, no one will have a problem with, and she's the one person that can probably take it. That's how they're looking at each other. Like, if anyone was going to take my star, it's Cara Maria. If anyone's going to take my star, it's Rachel. So I'm going to look after them, so I keep the right person on side, especially, like you said, in these early stages where the star is going to transfer a lot. I'd prefer to not have that person up against me. You know what I mean? So the star is forcing it. I don't think it necessarily supersedes what Cara Maria is going to have with Cam, but she knows it was a vote that didn't really matter. I don't know why Cam held on to it so strong when she also knew it didn't matter. Rachel was going in regardless of what Cara Maria said at that point. The numbers were done. But I think she was just testing the relationship, the politics side, and see where Cara Maria would stand. Didn't go overboard with it. She just said that's disappointing. I don't think she was being like, Ayana. But, she's testing the relationship. She's seeing, which is interesting play.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And it's interesting to see how the politics of it all is playing out, and Cara Maria having to play a very different game early on, playing the defense game. Like she said, she's got to take other things into consideration. I want to see the conversation between Cam and Cara Maria after this. Like, how does Cara Maria mend bridges with Cam? A few people are saying Cam's getting, I saw a comment earlier on saying Cam may be getting a little bit bossy at the moment, which, maybe, but Cam's also got a reputation. Like, it's not like she's just, it's not like she's got a big bark and a small bite. Like, she's not game fit, but there's that thing, like, when we talk about heart, when we talk about someone that will never quit, I don't want to go up against Cam, and I don't want to go up against her in elimination. I'm sure none of the girls want to go up against her in elimination. Like, she's got that aura. Like, reality realness, Chantal always says, certain players in the game, regardless of if they're in shape, not in shape, where they're in life, they've just got a reputation. And I think Cam does have that. For someone that's not one show, she's probably got one of the biggest reputations, I would say, out there. And it's showing, because once again, she manages to keep Leroy out of danger. This is the perfect opportunity here for them to throw Leroy in against Kefla or something like that. Like, Why go after the old guy and Cyrus, who came into the game that's not necessarily going to win at the end? Like, take out someone like
it's
Leroy,
true.
who's probably competition. So I think it once again just shows you how good of a social political game Cam is playing and how much of an aura she has in the game as a non-champion, which is impressive, right?
Very much so. And it's that's what she's wielding, and she's actually using it to Leroy's advantage. Instead of, because you're right, like Leroy, the perfect opportunity to throw him in at that point against Kefla in a challenge like that. Or they didn't know it was a challenge like that, but against Kefla would have been great. But yeah, Cam's doing a thing, and she's showing that she's got it on the political, social side, not just as an elimination beast, or even when she's not physically fit, she's still fighting fit mentally and all that. And people have said a couple in the comments, like, her hormones must be going crazy right now, and she's still able to, do what she's doing is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Victoria here says, I like that Kara and Rachel are working together. Kara doesn't really have a crew. Cam needs to get over it. It didn't affect her choices. And totally agree with you on that. Lena also says, did you hear the clip that was shown between Ayana and Cyrus? Her filling in the house, wanting to go after Cam and Leroy. Brandon overheard and twisted the story. Yes, I did hear it. And it was an interesting one because obviously she did throw out Leroy and Cam there, but you're right. She said Leroy and Cam is kind of on the outs at the moment. And I think it's the way you interpret it. Like, was Leroy and Cam really in the outs of the house? I don't know if that's true. I feel like it was Ayana playing a bit of a game. She was kind of stirring a little bit.
It's Brandon interpreting it, right? So he's seeing, what he's seeing is Cyrus has just come in the house, doesn't know what's going on, and Ayana drops, everyone's saying that it's Cam and Leroy, they want to break up that thing, right? And Brandon's the one hearing that going, no one's saying that. Like, what are you talking about? So, of course, his interpretation, when you say it's how you interpret it, his interpretation is she's putting your names out there because we know that it's bullshit. And so she's obviously throwing it out there, kind of thing. That's
and also let's remember this happens straight after the whole thing between Janelle and Ayana. And Ayana really going all in, playing a dirty game. Wow, like, what drama with Ayana? Like, I feel like, again, obviously, I hope everything's going well with Ayana, with her struggles outside of the show and things like that. I can only talk about the character Ayana in the show, what I'm seeing, right? And to me, this season, I've kind of, it's been a quick love relationship with Ayana and her eating the salad moment of the previous season, where I'm just like, what are you doing this season? Like, the fights, the drama, her and Jazz getting into each other. I'll be honest, I know there's a lot of people in the live that probably absolutely freaking loved it. Like, loved it. I was just thinking to myself, what am I watching? Like, what is going on right now? And it was really uncomfortable to watch between Jazz and Ayana. And you know that Jazz, like, whenever she gets the opportunity to get scrappy, she's going to get right in there as well.
Brighter Chucky coming out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the fact that Ayana, like, it's because she steps over a line each time, right? She makes it personal. She doesn't keep it in the game. She says, like, calling me at 4 a.m. every night with all your stuff. Like, why are you going to bring the personal stuff into that and throw it in her face, like, so weaponized? And she did the same with Janelle, like, saying that she gaslights. This is what she does. She cries. Like, she already lit the flame, and then she just goes and pours a whole bunch of petrol all over it. Fuel, gas. Sorry.
Yeah. Kiwi here says, yes, wish her well with her health, but I'm glad she's gone and others now get some airtime. She's too much drama. I agree. Like, and it just feels like you said, it's just that past the level of entertainment, there's like a level of chaos that can be caused up to entertainment. And then you're just like, what's happening here? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And I think that's kind of why, like, when Leroy loses his crap in the previous episode, I was like, he's a grown man. He's got a barbershop. He's like got stuff going on. He's a dad. Like, he doesn't need this in his life, But one thing I will say was it was interesting how much Rachel was on the side of Ayana throughout all of this. Like, she had her back. Like,
she's in the Patreon.
Yeah. Must be. She's like, you're one of my people. I got you. No matter what you're doing, right? Like, no matter, because there's some people like that. Like, no matter what you do in life, how bad almost wanted to say how bad of a person. This is a game though, but no matter what crap you do in life, they'll still have your back regardless. But I feel like there's also an element, if you're a real friend, you should
You
call
gotta
out the
call them on
bullshit.
it. Yeah,
You got to call
absolutely.
out their bullshit. Like otherwise they're never going to change. And your real friends in life are the ones that calls you on your bullshit, not the people that enables it and lets
That's
you keep
right.
spiraling down a really bad, thing. So it was weird seeing the whole Rachel dynamic. But also, Dara brings up a good point, though. She was an extra number for Rachel, and Rachel's coming in cold. Like, no. So she probably was just thinking, game. I need my numbers at this point.
Yeah.
AR says, yes, Chris. So I'm glad someone agrees with me on it. I just looked at it and I'm like, Rachel, you should be calling on a bullshit right now, not be like, surely there's a way you can do it, because I feel like if Rachel did it,
Even from
Ayana
a
would have
game
listened.
perspective, right? Even from a game perspective. This, like we've seen it before where people go, hey, for the game, pull your head in. Like, stop. You're causing too much drama. Like, they're going to get rid of you, blah, blah, blah. Like, even from just a pure game perspective, they should have called her out on the shit.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like Rachel is probably the one person that could have done it and gotten away with it in this game because Ayana respects her so much. So she would have been like, yeah, fair enough. Maybe I should pull my head back in a little bit here. But it's interesting how much, strategy and drama and everything happened around the Ayana and Rachel vote. And then Cyrus and Kefla's just like, just throw us in there. We'll just go in. There's like no drama, no trying to get the numbers. They just accepted their fate.
Yeah, it's interesting that, again, just that OG, old man perspective. It just comes off of such boomer vibes. You know what I mean? Like, they're not game focused at all. It's we do it with honor. We're gonna do I'll see you in the sand and we'll duke it out kind of vibes to it. It's that very sort of gentlemanly approach to it, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. Let's read a couple more comments here. Willie says, in my opinion, Ayana did too much, but at least she brought the mess we need in previous seasons. Yep, totally agree. But yeah, just got a bit much towards the end, I feel like. Darren says she was just an extra number for Rachel, which we've read. Kiwi says, I'm happy to not see Ayana in the game again. We've got Kiwi saying, apparently there was a lot more said, and Brandon did stand up to Ayana, but it wasn't shown. I wonder why it wasn't shown. Well, obviously, it's shorter episodes, these All-Star episodes, only 45, 46 minutes maybe, compared to the normal 60-minute runtime for MTV. So sometimes things will be left on the cutting floor, which is a shame because we've hardly seen Brandon. Brandon's only had a couple of things here and there, and obviously he was in the middle of the drama this time around, but not that much. Danica says, can you imagine Ayana and Tina going at it? Hashtag popcorn moment. Luckily for Tina, same place. She's in the same alliance as Ayana this time around. Popcorn, what is that? We don't need to go back there, Dolores.
I've dragged you down, Dolores. I've just brought these people down to my level, and I apologize. It's Dolores.
She's dragging us right back down the gutter, is all I'm saying. Victoria saying, frankly, the conversation Ayana had with Cam in the very beginning was really weird to me. I didn't believe a word she said. And that's where she wanted to go up against Cam. And Cam and Leroy, by the way, handled that like the pros that they were or are in the game, right? Because Ayana's coming up, is like, tell me who these people are. Tell me who these people are. And they're like, I'm not going to tell you who my sources are. You crazy? Then I'm throwing them under the bus. What game is the Ayana thinking they're playing? This is a strategic social political game. You can't just be throwing your sources out there. Then they're no longer your sources in the game, right? So I thought Cam and Leroy staying quiet, well played. And they just because with someone like Ayana, you just let her dig her own hole. She's going to go around accusing people, going crazy, and it's going to put other people off even more. So I felt like they played it perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no other way to play it though, right? Anytime that you get called out for that, you don't say anything. You just say it's people. I'm not saying it's people. Or sometimes they go the wrong way and they go, everyone's saying it. And then they go, blah, 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 and name, and then it just turns into utter chaos. So yeah, absolutely they did the right thing.
Yeah. Darren here says that they're trying to give her a good edit because of the cancer diagnosis, and that's possible. definitely possible. I think that there's a few times they've protected her. Reality Realness says that Jamae and Brandon were on IG Live yesterday for over an hour and a half, and she screen grabbed it, posted it on Reality Realness with 3S's. So go and check that out if you want to see a little bit more behind the scenes info. A bit of tea is out there. And yeah, I think, looking at this, going into the arena, what an interesting twist to what we've seen. Like, was this like do you think that they're experimenting with the whole brawl, and they're trying other aspects that could give you the same kind of feeling that a whole brawl does, but without the risk of an injury? Because that's kind of what I felt like watching this elimination.
Yeah, so did I. I think they did the variation on it in USA or in the World Championship, which was really bad. It was still a normal hall brawl, but then a puzzle at the end.
Yeah.
So the hall brawl didn't matter in the slightest. But this one was cool because with this one you do get a bit more opportunity to not necessarily rest, but they can do the endurance pick. Like, I'm gonna pick a spot and stay here. You have to get me off. You know when they do the pulling ones in the sand, where it becomes they're there for 45 minutes and I'm not moving, like, and we're just completely pulling against each other for the entire time. It can have that aspect of it, whereas the whole brawl is so much more physical impact, immediate, that it lasts a bit shorter, if you know what I mean. So I don't know. Like, I think when you're having older people, it's probably a good thing that they're not going bone on bone, like straight up physical contact. It still does require the same amount of effort, the same amount of push, but there's at least a nice cushy old man barrier between you.
Yeah, interesting. Alina says, I like this form of whole brawl. Danny said the old whole brawl was dangerous because people didn't know what they were doing, which is...
Yeah, they go head first, low down.
Yeah.
Like,
and he'll know.
Yeah.
But just coming from South Africa, where we play American football without pads, without helmets, in the form of rugby union, to me, it's just like, this is how we grew up. No one told us how to tackle properly. We learned playing backyard rugby. No,
yeah, but
we
they
played
told
backyard
you.
rugby.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not me. We just played, mate. Like, in South Africa, you just play.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
It's like, here's a ball. Go out in the backyard and start playing rugby, and you start running into each other. But I guess there is a difference, obviously, and the difference is that the way that the show's going with the challenge is that they're bringing in more and more actual athletes. So now you've got people that are fitter, stronger. They're grown men. You're not a kid running up against another kid. Like, the impact and the force of these things when you're running up against like a Fessy, is going to be different. And he's had actual training in how to run, so, and we've seen it. We've seen people get concussions and things like that. So I do get it. And I want whole brawl to be back. I want them to find a way to make it as safe as they possibly can, but I really enjoy it. And if this is a variation of what we get, then this wasn't too bad. Like, I would have liked something where they could run into the ball maybe a little bit more rather than the static start, if I had to be hypercritical about it. But it gave us some really interesting outcomes. And the two people that won, and I thought they would win. At one point, I was worried for Rachel, though. In the beginning, I was like, Ayana's actually... She's pretty strong when it comes to it, but she got gassed out, obviously, with Rachel just having better technique.
Rachel helped Ayana lose weight. If Ayana was as big as she was in All Stars 2, I think she might have even had a bigger shot. But her losing weight and trimming down with Rachel's help probably worked to her disadvantage here.
Look at Rachel playing that 4D chess. She's like, if ever I go back on an All-Star season and Ayana is coming up against me, I better make sure she's as light as possible so I can take her on. Extra motivation to get Ayana ready for the All-Stars 5 season. But no, obviously, great challenge all around. I thought Rachel had the right technique, going low, gassing out Ayana, and then ultimately winning by, basically just the endurance aspect of it. And hats off to Cyrus. He put up a fight, but he was never going to, like, Kefla was he was unstoppable. Like, he had the momentum, he had the force, he had the weight behind him. Overall, I enjoyed it, though. It was probably the most fun I had this whole episode was watching the elimination. And I'm a big fan of the eliminations. But I do still feel like we haven't seen the big head-to-heads. Like, will we get Laurel versus Cara Maria this season? Obviously, can Cara Maria finally win one against Laurel in an elimination? Because she normally can't beat her in the elimination. She's good at winning championships, but this is the one place where Laurel's always had the upper hand against her. Will Laurel steal Cara Maria's star? Like, is that going to happen? That would be pretty juicy, Nicole and Laurel, will they go up against each other at some point? That's something I want to see. I want to see Leroy go down to the sand because Cam won't be able to defend him the whole season. So there's plenty of things still to look out for and to be excited about. And
do you think the Rachel winning against Ayana in the way that she did, is that a true sign of like, does that build the intimidation factor as well? Was that an impressive win for Rachel?
So, yeah. I think so.
To take out
How
Ayana?
old's Rachel, by the way? Like, at the moment, somebody in the chat probably will know.
I don't know.
Let's see if I can
I'm
find
say 45.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess 45.
Very impressive. She's clearly stayed in shape. She is 41.
41. Okay.
So isn't that like the age that CT was when he won his last proper season challenge?
Was that? I don't know.
I feel like he was about 41 as well. So if you think about it, like Rachel doing this well, like it kind of shows she can still hang. I feel like she can still hang with the new kids. Like she could still come back and compete in the main show.
She could. Absolutely, she could.
I mean, they get someone like Anissa coming back, who everybody's tired of, and has no ability to win the main show. Like, why don't we get someone like Rachel? Well, again, it's a time thing, right? Rachel's a grown woman. She's got her own business. She can't be out there for 3 months.
I had this theory about how they're doing All-Stars, right? And I don't know if this is true. This might be one of my wild, like, I got red strings on the board going. But, like, Janae, right? When Janae was first on All-Stars, she was still considered quite young. She's like, people like, she's not OG. She shouldn't be All-Stars. But she was the youngish one in the cast that was like that in between. And then she won twice, right? And they were like, oh, we've got Janae. We can throw her into World Championship. We can throw her back into the thing. And they brought her back. And then they did All-Stars 3 with Kayla. And I was like, oh, I think they're trying to, like, is this a thing? They're trying to get the young and give them a shot to win or do well against the older opponents. That didn't work out. And then this season, they're like, is Avery in that, like, Kayla, Janae, let's see if we can get someone back into, like, give them an easier transition back to the main show kind of thing. We need, you know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering if that's an element of casting here.
Yeah. And already, I'm so bad. Someone's asking here if we've seen the rumors for All Stars 5. I haven't, Darren, seen the rumors yet. At some point,
5 rumors.
Yeah. At some point, I probably I haven't been keeping up with all of the gossip on the streets out there. But at some point, I'll probably look at who's going to be casted. That's normally where I stop because I honestly don't think I would enjoy the seasons if I knew the outcome. It just wouldn't be fun for me to do the podcast because I want to hypothesize.
Is it casting rumors or it would only be casting rumors at this point?
The only thing I heard is that All Stars 5 is confirmed. I know that much.
Yeah.
But like to give you an idea, like I've already forgotten who's on season 40. Like I saw the cast list very quickly and then I forgot. Now I'm too afraid to go back and watch because there's probably like results out there. So at some point I'll get someone who
errors. Remember errors.
Free. It's errors. I remember
like,
that.
Yeah, so as long as you know, I think Rachel is in the OG. Yeah, Rachel's in the CT, like the first 10 Mark Long CT group, I think.
Insane. Well, Darren here says casting. Darren's saying CBS and international players supposedly
for All Stars 5. Wow,
that's interesting.
It's not OGs.
It's not All Stars. What are we doing? Like it's changing the format. Like shouldn't it just be USA 4 or World Champion? Just make it World Championship 2. Like what are we doing? Like
they can get old people from other shows.
Yeah. Danny's happy that it's confirmed. Well, Danny, now that you know that it may not be actual OGs, how do you feel about it? Or is it going to be OGs from the challenge with OGs from Survivor? Like, it'll be interesting to see.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like it's old people from whatever show. They just go
Mark Long versus Boston Rob. Out there.
Yeah.
Boston Rob's going to get his ass handed to him if he goes plays as a challenge. Like he's not that guy. He's not in the shape that he used to be in back in the day. Like
Aussie?
Mark Long would kill him.
What about an Aussie?
Aussie would be fun. So Thanos says, I at least need King Troy back. We agree. We need Troy back. We want to see our friend Troy back on the show. Put Luke on there. That'd be probably Luke Toki, I'd assume. Yeah, Luke Toki would be fun.
Yeah.
Luke would bring George. I love George, but Lena, I don't think the challenge, like the one aspect of Survivor that he was horrible at, it's going to be the thing that's going to help him if he's on the challenge. He'll be good entertainment.
He's
He's
not
gonna be good
beating a
entertainment.
Derek. He's not beating a Shane. He's not even at that level, right?
Nah, nah. It'd be interesting. Reality says I would like old school CBS, but I heard it's Final Reckoning onward. Oh, okay. It's interesting. Well, yeah, I think we sort of got to the end here of the show. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about? Anything you feel like we didn't touch upon for this episode, Kahuna?
No, like I'm still I'm enjoying it. It's I like the overall vibe of the show in that it just feels a little bit more lighthearted. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Um, they're kind of okay with being not as good. Like, you know what I mean? They make fun of themselves in that regard. Even Kefla coming off the thing and pretending to pull a hammy and hurt himself only to then twerk. Great moment. I love that. But it shows again, like we know we're old. I'm going to pretend to have an injury as I get off here. Like they're playing up, cam pumping. They're like these are grown ass adults, and I'm enjoying that vibe of it,
Yeah.
even if it does sit funny with me to have them competing and living in a house together and acting like they're 20 something, but we all know they're 50, 40s.
I want to say, Chris, who's the real villain in this story, right? You don't even have a J, you don't even have a J profile pic on your YouTube. So, I feel like you're not a true J supporter unless you change your profile pic on YouTube to J. So you can't bring the head our way. You can't bring it our way, Doing it on Discord, that's not enough. You need to change it here on YouTube as well, please. And then we'll start mentioning Jay a little bit more often. But for those that really enjoyed this live and some of the heat and some of the conversation that we bring to it, we always try and keep the live audience involved as much as we can. I am in the process of starting up the Extra Take as well. So that's my second channel outside of the Nullified Take channel. And we will be doing a podcast later on tonight between myself and Will, who has done Wheel of Time on the channel here. And we're going to be talking about how to start a podcast. So a lot of it will be about how I sort of started this podcast, where the sort of inspiration for it came, and basically by starting a new podcast, we want to dive into like a little bit more wider topics and things like that. So, I will link it in the description of this video if somebody is interested and want to go check that out at some stage. The live may not be at a good time to jump in, but in the future, we would like to do it at times so people can take part in the live and things like that as well, and just talk about wider topics. Plus, Kahuna has said if we can get that channel up to at least 100 subscribers, he would consider coming on and talking there. But, he doesn't want to lower himself while we've only got 26 subscribers there to come on before that.
Sounds
so
like
please
me.
help us get across the line. So this is the channel, the Extra Take. It's going to be the second channel for the Nullified Take, where we will be diving into wider topics. So the first episode, how to start a podcast. After that, many things we'll discuss on there. And it's just going to be a little bit outside of the competitive reality TV realm. So I will put it in the description. I'll link it. Jump in, get us across 100 subscribers so Kahuna can come on as well and talk to us about a bunch of things. Like Kahuna, I'm sure at one point we'll talk about your weight loss journey, what's happened there, all those kind of wider sort of topics. So be sure to support it, and I will link it as well. But for now, if you really enjoyed this podcast and if you want to support this podcast, we're not going to stop. We're going to continue doing it because I love talking about competitive reality TV. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, put a like on this. We will be back next week to talk about episode 4 as well. Yes, Danica, you're already subscribed to that channel. It is the one where I spoke about moving to NZ in Australia. But when I first started on that channel, I was thinking about doing it in a vlog kind of way, and I'll probably talk about that on the podcast. But to be honest, I actually enjoy talking to people rather than speaking to the camera on my own. So I'd much rather just have friends of myself like, Kahuna, Will. At some point, we might get Drew on it. He's already said he'd be happy to come on, maybe reality realness. We'll talk about some wider topics like that's not necessarily competitive reality TV related, but I'm sure at times there will be some overlap as well. So just doing something else creatively outside of this space is why I'm sort of starting it. But everybody, thank you so much. I really appreciate the love and support. Please, like I said, jump on, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys next week when we talk about the episode 4 of All Stars 4. Thank you so much. And you'll come on for the first milestone. There we go. See, we've got Reality Realness. If we hit the 100 subscribers, Reality Realness is going to come in and talk to us on the podcast as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Catch you guys next week. Bye.